And let's help some other folks. So we were just having the conversation about our purpose in life, and I was just telling Carmella that I authored a book last September, and now there's a new book coming out with the same publisher, and one of our other co-mods in one of our other lanes, Sherry Daughter, she's going to be one of the authors in the new co-author collaborative book, and it's called Becoming You. So I'm kind of excited. I read her chapter early on, and she's edited several things since then and worked with the editor and the publisher. And so it looks totally different than that first draft that I saw. So I can't wait to see how it's going to look, now that it's in book form. I did my pre-order already to help boost the sales, because if you can get so many pre-orders on the first couple of lanes, like Apple Books and some other, before it goes on to Amazon, it helps. You have to be number one in at least two platforms before you can go number one. So anyway, we're trying to get her number one on Apple Books so that we can then get her to be number one on actually on Amazon. So anyhow, so that's the goal. So I did my part and did my pre-order, and then we're driving over to Miami today to listen to her speak. So I'm so excited. So anyway, so Carmella, what do you have going on? And Rach, welcome. Come on up. If you see where there's a button you can click. I don't know what you girls get when I say promote you up to a panelist, which means you get to come up with us where we can all chat. Is it just a bar that comes across the screen that you have to click?
Two boxes. There's like one that says panelist and one that says attendee.
Okay. So Rach, come on over. And that way we can chat with you as well. So welcome. So anyway, feel free to show your video if you want. I have a virtual background. Carmella has a virtual background. Sarah is the real deal this morning. She's not hiding her background. I'm on my lanai in Florida. And so I just have a plain white beadboard wall behind me on the lanai, because my window is this way. So I wanted the light to come in. So yeah, it's a real boring background. So I popped up my little coffee shop. So Carmella, tell us what is your background? What made you decide that one? And then tell us what you have going on.
I decided on this one today because, like I said, we had beautiful weather yesterday. It got up to 82, and early this morning, like around 5:36, it was 70. By 7:30, it dropped down to 58, and now it's rainy and it's dark and gloomy. So I needed something to kind of keep me motivated. So I like the clear blue skies and the flowers. I was actually looking for one of the pictures I took when I was in Utah. I took a lot of pictures there, but I wanted the one with my doTERRA behind me, and they had all these beautiful flowers. So this one is my cheery mode to kind of get me going today.
All right. So far we are now at 77 degrees here, on its way to a high of 84. So
wow. See, I'm so ready to take my trip, since we were supposed to originally be leaving and heading for Maryland next week, but we may push it back a little bit, only because Farley has been his caseload has just been really big lately in court, juvenile court. And then I have my desk, if you can, well, you can't see, but I have all these files with all these bankruptcies, and everybody wants everything at once.
Yeah, you had told me that bankruptcies, that you're seeing an uptick in trend on folks filing, which
so it's crazy. And I'm like, and I don't know if it's because people lost their jobs, but then, there's places that are hiring. I took a little afternoon sabbatical on Tuesday. A girlfriend of mine, she's like, hey, you want to head to Fort Wayne, which is about 45 minutes. She needed to look for an area rug. She just got rid of her carpet and she put hardwood floors down. So I'm like, oh, sure. So we drove over there, and kind of played hooky. It was nice. We had lunch. I actually tried crumble cookie for the first time.
Oh, everybody tells me hands down, it's like the best.
Yeah, I called my daughter and I'm like, I just got crumble cookie. And she's like, Mom, it's like, don't eat one cookie at once. It's like 1,200 calories. And I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, too
So
late.
I cut them in quarters. So I'm like, okay. But this week, tomorrow, I have a tea party. So I'll be in Upper Sandusky. I'm meeting a friend in doTERRA, and I'm going to a tea party there. Touch base with one of my girlfriends from grade school and high school, and we've been kind of like empowering each other, about getting
Mhm.
things done. And I was hoping I didn't have to leave this weekend because the past 2 weeks I've just been so busy. And I just realized, and then I took on another job. I think I mentioned we have new pastors where their oldest son graduates this year.
Okay.
So she asked me and another friend, she goes, can you help me plan the graduation party? And I'm like, no problem. Which things like that, it's fun, so I can like do it. And then of
Well, I
course
think you enjoy that too.
I do. I get an
Yeah.
enjoyment. So it's not like that's really work. But then I thought Mother's Day is going to be here. The first weekend in May, one of my daughter's best friends, who's like another daughter, she graduates from dental school. And so she's going to be actually a doctor and everything on May 7th. So I'll be in Columbus. I may go the night before and stay. I'm trying to do a lot of organization as far as my business. I actually was going to start one of you have a link on the platform, and I can't think of what it was, but I was reading it and there was like a question, like a little thing. And I had started, it's still on my computer. I'm like, okay, I just need time to sit and do it. So hopefully I can do that on Sunday. I think I'm just going to shut myself off, but I've been pitching and just bringing forth, organization where it's not chaos. Cause I kind of like gave my husband a lecture before I left. I'm like, I do not want clutter or chaos. You have too many files here. They must leave the house. So we'll see. Cause I really
Does
do want to,
he does he bring work home? Is that what I'm hearing?
oh my gosh, yes. He does bring work home. He's like, I gotta work. I says, but you gotta take that time too for yourself. I haven't told him I received a message. When I first moved here, I worked in the gift shop at Cracker Barrel, and the general manager, we were friends, and I've become good friends with his wife, and we see each other in town and whatnot. And she had sent me a message. She's having a surprise, like a 60th birthday party for him tomorrow. And she said, I'd love it if you and your hubby could stop by. And it's not far from our house, but I know he's going to come up with an excuse. And I think, Kathy, he's not really the one real sociable, he'll come to
Right.
an event, but it's kind of like, okay,
Well, plus since he's working and he's got all those files, that's always working in his brain, which is what makes him so good at what he does, is that he's always got all of that in his brain. I can't
oh
even
yeah, he's
imagine
always
having that
thinking.
many.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having that many cases and then try to go out and just relax and not think about work. How do you like take that out of your brain? And
You can't shut it off sometimes. And it's like, oh my gosh, just turn it off. Let's go to the movie, do something. But you know what? He tries to be there. And everybody, you try to make everybody feel important, like they're important, but then it's like everybody is tied for number one. And like I said, he's got a lot of juvenile court cases, and then it's like the bankruptcy. So it's kind of, and then he just got a call from a guy. He needs an attorney for an OVI. And that's like something where there's like a trial. And he goes, I don't even know if I should take this on. And I'm like, you have to decide. I mean, because then that's just more work. And you're already in like, there's like I can't even think what it's called now, where there's several people, a class action suit going on. So he's already involved with that. So I'm going, that's just too much. And I have to think that's time away from me that we can't go and do all this fun stuff. And I'm like, even to take a walk. So I'm wanting to change, but since our weather has changed, I can't get out in the yard because I'm wanting to have a nice serene space this year where I can even do my work from. I love sitting outside and just sitting out there amongst nature and everything. But I'm wanting to work on that blog, so I've been really thinking about that a lot now this past week.
Okay.
So since our last meeting, I'm like, do I? And so this past week, I've been doing these notes. I'm like, what do I want to accomplish? What do I want? And not the same things. What's my ultimate goal? And not something, flimsy like, oh, I want to, reach people. But it's like, hey, I want people to know the real me and the type of person I am.
It's
So,
tough. The time thing is always the tough thing, is juggling what's really important. That's so hard. And I remember when I was growing up, my dad was a builder. And Carmella, you never got the opportunity to meet my dad. He was a builder. He was a lot older, when he had me. And so he passed when I was in my, oh gosh, I think I was 30. He passed.
okay.
And so then mom was, of course, she was a lot younger than him. So she lived on her own a lot of years after he was gone.
Oh, wow.
And so then you've met my mom, but you had, I don't think had ever met my dad. But anyway, he was a builder and he was just self-employed, worked by himself. He would get, with my mom's salary, they were able to get a building loan because she had earned income. So they qualified and they would get this building loan. They would find a plot of ground. He would buy the ground. He would then start hiring the stuff he couldn't do, like digging out the basement or the footer or whatever. And then he would start laying block, and he would take a year and he would build a house single-handedly by himself from the ground up. And it would take him a year.
Wow.
The house that my mom lived in when you first met us is the house that's the last house he built.
Really?
Now he built about over from the time, because he didn't start until I was 10 and he was getting closer to retirement by then. And I think he built 17 or 18, maybe 19 houses in his lifetime. And it would take him a full year. But what I remember about that was that he was so structured. Every morning he would say, okay, because again, as kids, oh my gosh, we hated it. We had to go up to the house with dad. This is what they always said. Okay, we're going up to the house now. Oh, shoot me now. We were like, oh, please. Because it was so boring when you're a kid, because he was working. He would go build a house and he would say, you got to stay out of my hair, go over there and play. Well, play with what? Do what? So anyway, but again, part of my skill set comes from that, because as I got older, 12, then 16, I was like, give me something to do. So he would say, well, paint the side of the house. I'm like, okay. And so anyhow, long story short, I ended up being his best crewman, because I could nail on a roof and paint as well as the professionals, because I grew up with that. And so at 5 o'clock, well, first of all, I got to back up. In the morning, he would get us up, and if it were school day, we'd have to get ready and go to school. As soon as the bus came at 7:30, he would be in his truck waiting to pull out of the driveway. And as the bus would go on, he would go on. And mom would already be at her factory job. And so he would go up to the house and work. And then, of course, I was a latchkey kid rather early, because mom wasn't home from work yet. Dad worked like clockwork. And in the summer, when we'd go up to the house with him, I realized what his routine was. At lunchtime, I mean, it was like, it reminded me of, if you remember watching the Flintstones, when they blow the whistle and they're all leaving, right at lunchtime, he would say, time for lunch, let's go. And we'd go right then and go to lunch. And then at 5 o'clock, time to go home. And he faithfully kept that routine. He did not think, well, I'm in the middle of doing this kitchen, I'll keep working till 10 o'clock tonight, or I'm a little behind on my draw, I'll work over the weekend. He did not. On weekends, he would just putz around the house, mow the grass, work in the garden. Just, I mean, so he functioned self-employed, just as if he were punching a time clock.
Wow. And that's good. That's discipline.
That is incredible discipline. At the time, I didn't get it. At the time, it was just our lifestyle, and dad had to go to work. And I don't know at an early age that I even realized that this was his total gig. The older I get, the more admiration I have for my dad and he had an 8th grade education, and he had such a skill set. It was incredible. The things that and even now Mark is still using some of his tools, and so we very fondly, Jennifer's got some of his ladders. So we very fondly think of him often, but the older I get, the more admiration I have for him and his skill set, and just how he thought and what he accomplished in his lifetime. And, isn't it sad that I missed it then? I didn't get it then. As a kid, I couldn't quite wrap my mind around it. And so I take a lot of lessons from him. And so when it's time to be done for the day, I have to physically be done. Now, part of my problem is that my office is in the corner of my kitchen, back home where I do most of my work. And so it's really hard to separate when I'm working and when I'm not, because every time I walk into the kitchen, my laptop calls my name. Kathy, you have a book to write. Kathy, you have a blog to do. And it's like, oh, I really need to go sit down and work but I can't work for a couple of minutes. I end up working, I get into a project, and next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. And so I have to really guard against, overworking as well. And so I'm trying to take a lesson from my dad. And when Mark comes home, because Mark's pretty good at doing what my dad did. Mark goes off to work on airplanes during the day, and I can count on him coming through the door between 5 and 5:30 every day. And so now when Mark comes through the door, I try to just finish up whatever I'm in the middle of, get to a stopping point, like not in the next hour, but in the next like 20 minutes, and then close the laptop and walk away. And then I don't go back to it. Even if I have some bonfires, I'm thinking, if this were a job that I were punching a time clock, I wouldn't stay till 10 o'clock at night to put out the bonfires. I'd say, well, that'll be my first project in the morning. And you know what? The town didn't burn down because I didn't get that last bill paid. It's okay if I do it tomorrow morning instead of tonight at 10 o'clock. It's okay to walk away from that. But it is hard. It is hard. And I can't even imagine what Farley is going through when he's got people's lives in the palm of his hand. It is such a responsibility, because how those cases turn out is going to affect their lives for the rest of their lives.
Right.
And it's such a responsibility. I can't even imagine, how that feels to him, having that kind of a weight, that he knows he basically, it's how well or how not well he handles something is gonna have a big impact on the outcome. So kudos to Farley and to you, because you're right in there with him, and I get it. But I think at the end of the day, I think you have to have a pretty firm line in the sand that I have to stop for some self-care. So
right. I usually stop every day. My workday ends at 4:30. I mean, there's been maybe 1 or 2 occasions when I'm walking out the door and one lady's like, no, don't leave. I wanted to bring this. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. And the other day, literally, this was Monday, I was leaving. I get all the way down to my car and I left my jacket because I needed a jacket that morning. Well, my car key was in it. I'm like, why isn't my car? Because normally it senses my keys on me. So I just have to push the button and it unlocks. And I'm like, my keys are upstairs. So I had to go all the way back upstairs to the office because we're on the second floor. And there was a guy. I don't know how we missed each other. And he, because I usually walk down the stairs and he must have taken the elevator. He's like, "Oh, are you coming into work?" I said, "No, I just came to get my car keys because we're closed."
You're like,
But,
nope, nope, nope.
and every once in a while, I've had people email me. Last night, literally, I was getting emails from a client and my phone just kept dinging, and dinging. And I'm like, I got to turn this off because she was supposed to send me something a while ago. It's due today. So it's like, because it's due today, you're going to like blow up my phone, so I can see in my computer. But, I try to be very disciplined, and it's like, we need to do that. And Farley will sometimes, he'll come in, like, he's not in this morning, he's working from home, but he'll come into the office. He has an office appointment and then he works late and he'll usually work to like 8 o'clock, sometimes 9. But he says because it's quiet, the phone's not ringing and he tends to get more. He goes, I know you hate that, but then I've come to understand because I know what it's like sometimes if I'm here and those times when the phone's ringing constantly. And if you're here, then you're expected to really talk to people. And usually I can handle most things, but you will be proud of me. I was at church this week to drop something off. And one of the ladies was talking about when are we going to start our pantry up again for people. And they go, well, we just need someone to take charge. That little person in me that likes to solve and help everybody.
I get it.
I'm not taking it on. No, thank you. My plate is like, well, and I'm like, I'm done. But it was like, I felt really good about it. And I was like, I didn't do it. I mean, I will admit that it was very hard and difficult.
I understand.
But I did not take on another task to add to my list. Thank you, Sarah. But it was just like, whoa, I'm like, I'm proud of myself. I got through this. So.
And you know what? And the church didn't fall down. It's okay.
No. And I'm like, it's okay. I told them no. And I said, I'm putting in a thing too. I said, I can't be there all the time. A guy called me Wednesday. I had a meeting. Well, I was supposed to have a meeting that kind of got canceled, but are you going to come in and do sound? I'm like, no, you can't depend on me. I was not on a schedule. So if I am not on a schedule and notified in advance, then I am not there. And actually the pastor's like, good for you. And I'm like, yes, thank you. So
no, I can appreciate all of that. Yes, absolutely. Now, here's my best advice, and then we're going to move over to Sarah. Here's my best advice is you have to have a vision of what you want your life to look like. Where do you want to be? How do you want to live? What do you want it to look like? Well, I knew right away that I wanted to travel. I wanted to travel when I was young. I wanted to travel all through my work life. I just wanted to see my favorite subject in school was geography. I couldn't get enough of where this country was and where that country was and what was their customs and what was it like there. And I just loved all of that. And so then, of course, when I got really, really active in church, like Carmella, I decided to volunteer for their whole missionary program because I got to talk with folks from around the world. And I got to work with folks that were coming in from the different countries to pitch their mission, to try to get support from our church. And so I would be the one. And of course, then that hospitality travel thing just all kind of merged together, because then I would be the one that would get them a host home to stay at while they were here and make sure that they got picked up from the airport. And, so I was in charge of all that, which was just right up my alley. And then I did 25 years in the hotel industry, and I got to meet people that were traveling. And so I would always ask at the front desk, oh, where are you coming in from today? And they would tell me, oh, I'm coming in, all these different states and then all these different countries. And then, of course, my favorite job of all time, hands down, is I I was the senior sales manager at Fort Columbus International Airport. So I really then I got to intercept the president and make sure that the Secret Service men had a room at the hotel that they could set up all their equipment as the president was coming into town. And so anyway,
That was cool.
I've had quite the career, and it all hinges always around, that whole travel and tourism thing. So that's always been my passion. And so now whenever anything comes at me, I have to test and measure it against where I want my life to be. So I said to Mark early on, because, and Sarah may not know this, but because of what happened is in the middle of all that, financially, I was not doing as well as I should have been. And so when the opportunity to get into the cosmetology world came along and I realized the money that could be made there, and I had no retirement, I didn't know how I was going to have a retirement. I then made the decision to get into cosmetology, which was a great decision for me, but it was totally opposite from everything I've always wanted. But it allowed me to create a passive income stream with real estate. It allowed me to buy salon buildings. And so that's the only reason that I could retire and be, and I'll say financially secure. I'm certainly not rich, but I'm financially secure with my retirement because of the salon industry. So that did help push my cart in the right direction, even though I knew that wasn't where my end goal was going to be, because at the other end, coming out of the salon industry, I wanted to be able to work from anywhere in the world. So I've created this online academy, and I can certainly do that. And so now, anytime an opportunity comes my way, I have to test and measure it against my goal. Does this help me get closer to what I want my life to look like? Now, it might be a great opportunity, but if the answer is no, it doesn't really get me closer, then it's probably not a good choice for me. It doesn't mean that it's not a good choice. It's just not a good choice for me because it doesn't push my cart in the right direction to get me closer to what I want my life to look like. Because I want to be able to work from anywhere in the world. Now, and sometimes it's just little stupid things. Like I'm not super smart when it comes to technology. And so I do have a trip booked to Italy this year for the first time, and I'm financially, I'm able to do that. I can't believe it. I'm so excited because that would have not been in the cards for me at all. That just absolutely, I would have said, yeah, well, good luck with that. There's no way I could take a trip, out of state, let alone to another country. And so now I actually have that in my budget that Mark and I want to take 2 international trips a year. And then we do a lot of local stuff. If either of you follow me on Facebook, we do a lot of local stuff. And so at that point, once something comes my way, I can now say, does this help me live the life I want to live? And the biggest hurdle I'm having now, which for those of you that know technology will laugh at me, is Italy does not have a good Wi-Fi. And one of my stated goals is I want to be able to work from anywhere in the world, meaning I want to be able to do these, these Zoom calls, my podcasting from anywhere in the world. Well, Italy doesn't have a very good Wi-Fi. And so now I'm struggling with, do I get a pocket Wi-Fi? Do I get an eSIM card? How do I make sure that, and I don't know enough about technology to sort my way through all of that. So that's what I'm in the process of learning now. So I just always look at myself in the mirror every morning and I say, you know what, Kathy, you are smart enough to figure this out. Somebody somewhere has the answer and you need to just keep digging until you get the answer. So that's where I'm at with that so far.
That's pretty good. I mean, and check with your phone things, because I mean, you can always add the extra thing. Like when my best friend's son, he went to Venezuela last summer, and it was like they were with Verizon, but you can get the like a certain package thing where he was able to connect and do a lot of stuff. So which was cool, and it was only for like the time that he was there, and it wasn't very expensive. So
well, the problem is that a lot of the cell companies do not have towers in Italy, and Verizon says their service won't work there. And I do have Verizon. So I said, well, I'm just going to buy the international package for, $100 or whatever. And for the time that I'm gone. And they said, yeah, well, we won't work over there. So good luck with that. So I'm still trying to determine, and I called the hotel and I thought, well, if I could just, because I only have like three Zoom calls the entire time we're gone. And so I thought, well, I'll just position our travels to where I'm at the hotel with the free Wi-Fi during those 3 calls. And the hotel said, oh, we've got dial up. I'm like, what? They said, yeah, you can't Zoom or stream anything. They said, you can't Zoom out on a Zoom call and you can't stream a movie in. They said, yeah, you might get a connection long enough to, look something up. And I'm like, really? And they said, yeah, they said,
This
why?
this may be the time for you, Kathy, that, okay, if you're there during connections, I'll have to take over and do it by myself for you. But for you and Mark to truly, not that you don't enjoy your travels, but where you're not working and you're actually going to be relaxing.
Yes. And so Jennifer, my daughter Jennifer, she said that she could open up the Zoom calls for me and make sure that the co-mod is on. And then at that point, the co-mod could run the call. And if I could tap in, fine. And if for some reason I can't, the call still goes on. So that's the plan. So Sarah, how about you? So what are you thinking? What is your struggles currently?
Oh, well, I'll talk about one of them. So, I want to be a music artist, obviously. Now, don't laugh either, but I live with my mom at 30, but the reason for that is because I was mentally ill for a long time and was in and out of mental hospitals, and they knew I was sick. So I have a disability, which is mental.
Oh, you went on mute.
My mom was calling, and
Uh,
I don't know.
Okay.
She'll probably call again, and then I'll have to answer her,
Yeah.
and y'all can talk. But she might call back. But anyway, so I don't have a good track record with jobs. Not because I'm not hardworking. Like all my jobs, I've never been fired for many of them. I've never been, but they're very simple jobs, and I've never had like a very complex job. And I think what I'm trying to do is, pay for this music channel eventually. Like not right now, because I want to publish one novel, and I don't think that costs
Okay.
it. But I plan on being a bestseller too, because
Okay.
this is like another book that my book is like another book that is a bestseller. So I'm gonna,
Okay.
but yeah, so that's kind of my plan, is to do this one book and then do my music channel. And the protagonist of that novel, which is 18-year-old me, does go in that music entertainment channel. It's all connected.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
Now, are you gonna pitch your novel to a publishing company, or are you gonna self-publish?
I don't know which one's better. I'm not really sure which one's better. So I don't know yet. I'm just gonna be the best writer I can be, and I'm still writing it and stuff.
Okay.
It's evolving over the years. It's evolved into something that is very interesting to me. It's just fascinating to me. Like, it's about this girl who has this sexually abusive father, but it's like he's like manipulating her in the afterlife because, something happened. They don't know what. She doesn't know what. He knows. He's hiding a lot from her, and she has this boyfriend. She didn't know what happened to him, and it's like this weird kind of mystery of like what happened to him and stuff. But
I like it.
yeah, it's like the father. It's so interesting because the father gaslights her and says, "Oh, Daryl's not real. I'm not even your dad." Like he's trying to make it to be like, that none of this happened in the past. That's just a dream. He's just like trying to, and I found this interesting because I felt like this has been my life, where people gaslit me and kind of make me out to be like I'm crazy and stuff. Like if, like for my mom, for instance, she kind of, sometimes I feel like she gaslights me because she's like saying like, you're just delusional about me when I talk about anything abusive that she might have done, like emotional abuse, she just says, "Oh, you're just delusional about me." So it's like kind of the same thing. Like, I'm just so fascinated by this story because it's like, it's so like, I just can't even describe it. It's like, and they have such cute memories, like the boyfriend and her, and it's just,
Oh, yep. Sarah's phone rang again. She's got to pick it up. It's her mom.
Well,
Exciting. I'm so excited that she is writing this story. Gosh, that is she, there she is. Yes. Was that your mom again?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
my
Okay.
mom's.
No, that's good.
but
No,
that
I am
does
so
sound
excited.
exciting.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
this story.
I love it too because she thinks he's like really dumb, and it's just like this thing where, oh, he's smart, he knows the answer, so he must be telling the truth, but that's not really how the reality is. And she's learning to love herself, and I feel like a lot of her experiences are like mine. It's like my mom doesn't even want me to get a job, and the similar thing with this story is the dad doesn't want her to work at all. He wants her to just, to rely on him at like in the past. And it's so weird. It's just so good because I feel like a lot of people go through this. I feel like a lot of
Uh-huh.
people go through this kind of weird thing where this person's like psychologically abusing that person. And I find it like it resonates with me because I thought that's what happened with me and my dad, like the sexual abuse. So I just feel like I just feel so familiar, and I know it sounds crazy to people, but like it's so good because
Now,
it's like,
how far are you in the publishing? You're still writing, and you
Mhm.
haven't decided if you're going to pitch to a publisher or if you're going to self-publish. And again, there's first of all, you've got the publishing industry clear on one end of the spectrum, and you've got self-publishing clear on the other end of the spectrum. If a publishing company picks you up, and number one, it's really hard to get a publishing company to pick you up because 1,000,001 people are pitching them. I forget, I talked, I'm in several writers groups, and this one, the publisher was there, and she said she gets something like 300 submissions a day.
wow.
And so she starts reading, you know, the query letter that's got their first paragraph or their first chapter or whatever she requested that they submit. And she said that sometimes she'll just get through the first 2 or 3 sentences. And if it doesn't grab her, she's like, next, because she's got so many to go through. And it doesn't really give the author a chance to shine because, you're not sure exactly what a publisher is looking for. So here's the one thing to know when it comes to a real live publishing company is that you are looking for a publisher that gets you. You're looking for a publisher that understands your story, that you can build a relationship with. And just because you get declined from several publishers doesn't mean it's not a good story. It just means that it's like a relationship. It just means that you guys just didn't mesh, you and the publisher, because you and the publisher have to really be on the same page. And so it's kind of like dating. You meet somebody and you're thinking, and then you meet somebody and it seems like everything kind of clicks, like,
Yeah.
it's like everything about, well, it's like that. You're almost dating these publishers until you find one that you want to live with, that gets you, that gets your work. So that's the hurdle you have to jump with publishing. If you're going to go with the publishing route, is coming up with a relationship with the publisher that gets you, that wants to take your work further.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got the whole other end of self-publishing, which anything goes, and you can publish anything. I mean, everybody can be published. You can just upload it, whenever you're done with your manuscript. You can, format it the best you know, and I advise that you still do some critiques and some better readers and all of that. But at some point, you can just upload it and you're published. And you own all the rights to that. But it's awfully hard to get a track record when you're self-published. It's awfully hard to be a #1 bestseller because you don't have that publishing train behind you, taking you on down the track. So it's really hard to become a #1 bestseller when you're self-published. Now, here's what I want to tell you. There's 1,000,001 hybrids in the middle. There's all of what's called vanity publishers. And what it is, it's someone that has learned the ropes. They've entrenched themselves in the publishing industry. They've created their, and oftentimes they call themselves a publisher, but they're not the big five, you know, that you have to pitch. And you're going to pay them a fee. And this is where the big publishers over here say, well, if you have to pay, then it's not a publisher. And self-publishing says, well, you don't have to pay. You can just self-publish and it's just your time of uploading everything and whatever you wanted to pay for editing. But other than that, you don't have to pay anything. Well, these folks in the middle say, we're not the big guys. We're going to help you self-publish, but we've been around the block. And so for a fee, we're going to help you get the right formatting. We're going to help you with your editing. We're going to help you get your EIN number. We're going to help you develop your cover. We're going to help you decide what categories you want to be in. And we're then going to help you upload it like self-published. And it's going to cost a fee to do all that. And some of them say, we can guarantee you that you'll be a #1 bestseller because see, they've already got the train on the track. And what it is they've already got a Facebook group. They've already got, you know, other folks on board. And then see, you have to have like 5,000 sales. Well, if they've got a group of 5,000, and here's how this works. And this is the sweet spot, Sarah. They say, if you go with us, when we upload your book, our entire group is going to go in and we're going to offer it for 99 cents. And our entire group, because it's only 99 cents, all 5,000 of our group is going to buy a copy. And all of a sudden you're a bestseller because you've sold 5,000 copies of your book, even though it was only 99 cents a piece. You see where I'm going with this? And so now you're a bestseller. And here's the joy of that is that on Amazon, you get a little logo that says #1 bestseller. And once you get that logo, you can put that on all your work thereafter because you are a #1 bestseller. So here's what I did. I went with one of those vanity publishers. I paid to be a #1 bestseller, basically. I paid to have the help with the editing and the publishing and the book cover and the EIN number. And I paid to have all of that. And I did come out as a #1 bestseller. And so now I can self-publish all day long and I can put that little logo that I'm a #1 bestseller on all my work. And because I'm with this vanity publisher, I was able to also have an author page on Amazon. And so if you just Google my name, I'll come up. You don't have to know my book title. And so anyway, I started creating a podcast and Amazon picked up my podcast. I didn't apply to Amazon. Amazon just said, you have enough views on your podcast now. We're going to put you on Amazon Music. So my podcast has been picked up by Amazon Music. It's been picked up by 8 different channels already, just because of my consistency of podcasting. And so now my podcast is out there. My book is out there. But again, I made the decision I could pitch to all the big boys to try to get picked up, or I could just self-publish and hope that somebody in the thousands of books that get self-published a day happens across me, or I could go with one of the vanity publishers where I get some traction right out of the chute. So that was my decision, but you have to have some cash to do that.
Yeah.
So does that help though? Does that help you?
Yeah. I do have
way through that.
I do have a question. When you publish your book, right? Did you publish as your original name? Because I don't want to do that. I want to publish as Angel Light Rose, not Sarah Deason.
Yeah, I did only because mine was more in the business category. Mine was called Speak, Lead, and Impact. And I wanted to promote all of my courses and my academy and all of that. And so, and the co-author book, the collaborative book that the same publisher is doing right now, which we're leaving right after my call here today to drive to Miami because that's where all the speeches are going on today. Her second collaborative effort is called Becoming You. And so all the authors are using their real names. But no, I get what you're doing because again, yours is almost a memoir, but you don't you don't necessarily want to throw your dad and anybody under the bus. So publishing under a pseudonym is a pen name is perfect. Now the only thing that I would recommend there is you're going to consider it a fiction novel,
Mhm.
even though you know the basis of the story. And so anytime you write fiction, maybe you use the same pen name, and so that you start to get a track record. People start to go, oh, I like this author, and they start following you as an author. And then if you publish something else and something else and then something else, you can continue with that pen name. But if you ever wanted to do something more along the self-help or something along that line, you could then use your own name, because you could publish under your own name on some stuff and under a pen name. So it's up to you, but yes,
Yeah.
you can certainly publish under a pen name.
Yeah, I don't know if that costs more to have a pen name. And
No,
okay.
nope,
Okay.
doesn't cost. The cost is immaterial. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just was wondering because there's that one, and then and there's that one, and sorry, my mom's texting me. There's that one, and then my memoir. I actually am writing a memoir about my mental health struggles, which is really
Okay.
personal and sort of embarrassing, but it's just like
Now on that one, are you thinking that you want to use your real name for that one?
no, not at all. I don't want to.
Okay. Okay.
No.
Then again, that you could use a pen name and you could get some mileage going there just under your pen name, because
Yeah.
whatever name you publish under, that's what your author page is going to be on Amazon, which is the biggest bookseller in the world, by the way. And
Yeah.
and once you get some traction and again, the way that the vanity publishers do it is that you have to have 5,000 sales on 2 different platforms. And so the hardest one, or the harder of the two, Amazon is so easy. I mean, almost everybody has an Amazon account, and a ton of people have Amazon Prime. You've already got your credit card number in there. If something pops up, you go buy now, and you're done. And it's so easy. And so what this vanity publisher does is she puts that on Apple Books first and tries to get at least 500 of her sales on the Apple Books. And that's where she puts it out there for 99 cents and tries to get her tribe to come in and everybody to click and buy it for 99 cents if they have Apple, but not everybody has Apple. And then, not everybody has an iPhone. Some folks have an Android, so they don't have an Apple account. So anyhow, she tries to get at least 500 sales under Apple, and then she uploads it into Amazon, and she gives like a 6-week spread in there to let Apple get some traction before she uploads it to Amazon. That way she has sales on 2 platforms, which is what the criteria is to be a #1 bookseller, is you have to have so many sales on 2 different platforms. And so that's her claim to fame. That's how she has that happen. And the tribe all comes in around her. And now I'm a part of the tribe. So that's why we're even driving to Miami to help support this second book launch. I've already bought my 99-cent pre-order. I already did that because, again, I'm trying to do my part to help this next round of authors come out as #1 best-selling authors. So that's why it's sometimes you just have to make the decision whether you're going to be included in in a vanity publisher like that, or whether you're just going to go and there's 1,000,001 hybrids of those. When you get into the vanity publishing, some of them will say, just give me the money and we'll do it and publish, and we'll just tell you what to do. And then some of them say, no, you give us less money than what this one's asking for, but we're just simply going to show you the steps to do it. And you still have to go do all, but you pay less. So there's 1,000,001 variations in there. It depends on how much money you have and how much work you want to do to get to the #1 selling category. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, it is. I'm wondering how many people just are doing what I'm doing, where it's like I'm publishing one book and then I just want to be a music artist. Because like the music artist thing has everything to do with my memoir, because someone broke my heart and then I went mentally ill. But it's like I just wonder, it's kind of a crazy story because he came back in my life, and that's the crazy part of it. But anyway, it's just like, um, just wondering how many people do that or how many people are on. Because I guess what I'm asking is like, how many, like, how do I know what people do about the music artist thing? Because I want to do that right after. I want to, but it's not like I have experience in that. So I need like experience first before I can just jump into it. You know what I mean? So
Are you writing your own songs, or?
I want to write my own songs, but I don't know how to do the tune to it. I don't know that. I just kind of write lyrical poetry.
Okay, so you've got the lyrics, but you don't have the actual music.
Yeah, I don't. And that's
If it were me, I would probably team up with somebody that had that piece of it
mm-hmm.
and let them turn it into an actual song for you.
Yeah. Okay.
That way
Yeah.
you could be the writer, you know, because again, when we watch all of the big award shows, the writers sometimes get as much kudos as the artists that perform the music.
Yeah.
Because without good lyrics, there are no good artists.
Yeah.
Because the lyrics and the tune together is what draws us in,
Yeah.
to really like a particular artist, and then to realize that the artist basically is singing somebody else's song. Somebody else wrote it, and they're performing it. And so all of a sudden it takes our attention to the writer. Well, who actually wrote this? And so you've got the lyric part, you've got the music part, and then you've got the artist that can perform it.
And another thing that is really weird, but okay, just hear me out, okay? Everything in my music videos, like nothing, there's no concerts, okay? Everything in my music videos, it's all animated. You don't see me at all. I'm like, not seen in this thing. I mean, she has the same body that I had when I was 23, but she doesn't have the same face, It's like I want to keep that. But yeah, it's like she's my alter ego. And so
Does she also have your pen name?
no, Princess Aaliyah is what she's got.
Okay.
It's different. I don't know. That's just how I feel. What's
Okay.
right. So yeah, her name's Aaliyah Lynch. It's just weird, but anyway. Yeah, she's part of my memoir. I will use her as my name instead of
Okay.
so in the story. So
Okay.
very interesting. She has black hair to kind of represent like her broken heart, her black heart, or just. But over time, she becomes Queen Aaliyah and she starts to have my hair again. Her eyes start to be more genuine, not genuine, but like more like just heartfelt and more like less closed off and more just like authentic and more like just less angry about things, more happy and more at content. And I think it's interesting. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people change their name of their music artist's name, but I feel like she's a princess at first as she becomes a queen, and that's kind of what I'm portraying. Princess Aaliyah is her name, and I don't really have a channel for her yet because I'm just trying to figure out how all this is going to work. But I do want a YouTube channel for,
You can start putting all of your stuff onto YouTube, and you can make it unlisted. You don't have to make it public. And that way you can start creating your channel. And then when you're ready, all you got to do is go in and click those videos to make them public if you're ready, and make only the ones public that you want it to go public.
I feel like I need to either become an animator myself and really study the work, or I need someone else to do it for me, and I gotta pay. Don't I have to pay someone to do that?
Probably, yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. That's the money that I don't have and that I'm trying to raise somehow. I don't know how I would raise it or how that works. I really have tried to look up things about it, but it doesn't really give me that much information about what I'm trying to do, because not many people are trying to do what I'm trying to do. in terms of music artists. They don't want to animate things. They want to just sing and be seen. I don't want to be seen. So it's different.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, let me just say how talented you are and
Yeah.
how creative you are. Kudos to you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing that that your mind works that way and that you have all of this that you want to make a reality. I love it. I love everything you're doing.
I do. And the songs, it's like the genre is pop music, but it actually talks about everything. It doesn't just talk about love and sex and things. Actually, some of my songs, there's one song that I have that's called Sex is Boring, because it's talking about all the facets of it and not just hyping it up as something that people should just do and not think about. I think it's something like, I don't know. I think that I want to be a different kind of pop artist that talks about abuse and mental health and just body image. Even like sometimes I think that I only love my body because it's thin. I mean, that's kind of what I question sometimes. Like, am I just loving myself because I'm thin enough? You know what I mean? So it's like I think about all these things. I think about them deeply. Like, I'm like, well, what am I really doing here? And
Well, and
why?
one of the, not to interrupt you, is like if you look at some of the artists out there now, not to mimic them, but even like Lizzo. I mean,
Yeah.
she's like huge, but it's like you have to get to that point to really love your body. But society has made you like, if you're bigger, then you can't do anything. You don't have talent, you don't have anything. And then you have people like Billie Eilish. I mean, she's different. She has a different style. I mean, okay, she may have green. I mean, but it's like, it's how they express it, and you have to be you, you're
Yeah.
original. You don't want to be like anybody else. So who is Sarah? Who is your pen name? And it's like this person here, and you're expressing your true self.
Mhm.
I mean, and that's how you reach people. I mean, I listen, and even like with music, and like Kathy said, finding someone that you can partner up with where you're writing the music, because I didn't realize I was always a Prince fan growing up. I mean, for years. And he was very, very talented. And I
Yes.
didn't realize until, later in life that he wrote a lot of Michael Jackson songs for other artists that you would not think, because he was this guy that was kind of out there when he first started, eccentric.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I had to sneak and get some of his stuff when I was in high school, because I just wasn't out, because they knew how bad it was. But he had this talent. But the music he wrote for people you'd be surprised. So it's kind of like, you have this gifting and creativity and talent that, I mean, it's going to be great. So it's like when it takes off, it's going to really take off. So
Yeah.
really, kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think so too. And I'm still trying to figure out what to do with my author channel. I need to do something with it because it's interesting, like what I was thinking, because it's like I was thinking maybe making like the story come to life, like the story that I'm writing come to life on like in an animation form, and sort of, and just be like um eventually at the end though, once I'm done with the story and once everybody's like liked it and it's things, maybe it's like Princess Leia appears and she's like taking over the channel and she's like, come over here, guys. I don't know. I'm just thinking this because I think of I used to play games like Donkey Kong Country 2 and stuff, and somebody gets kidnapped and you got to save them, and it's just like I don't know. It's just like I want it to connect like that, and I've definitely got to least get into animation or something. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I just feel like that's kind of my calling. I'm really not. I tried to do vlogging, but I was like, wait, I don't know if I'm good. I don't know if I want to do vlogging because I'm more of an artist. I'm not really like a vlogger, and like I kind of like to be private sometimes. So it's like, private person. But yeah, I just thought of that, and I don't know, it sounds weird, but it makes sense. Like, I don't know, it makes sense to me somehow.
Well, I think probably researching animations probably your next step, because that seems to be where you're at currently, is that now you need to start animating some of this. And so I think that's probably your next step. And again, like me, I think you can just look in the mirror every morning and say, I'm smart enough to figure this out.
Yeah, I'm smart enough to figure this out. Everybody calls me smart, and I need to see it myself. I need to, how do I say it? I need to just take it. Like, I need to just accept people's compliments. Not accept them. But yeah. What about you? Let's talk about you, Kathy.
What, as far as what I want to do or where I want to go from here?
Yeah, struggles, what you're doing, and
Yeah, the biggest struggle that I'm having right now is just trying to decide how much I want to do with this academy. Do I want to add more lanes? Do I not want to add more lanes? Do I want to bring in more folks? And I think where I want to go with it is that I did add co-host and co-mods to all my lanes, which Carmella is my co-host on this call. And so I think where I want to go is as other folks have different lanes, to actually allow them to go on my platform and create this larger academy where it's not all just me. It's not just me creating content. It's other folks creating content as well. So I think that's where I want to head next. And like you, I have to look in the mirror and say, I'm smart enough to figure this out. Yeah. And so I'm excited for Sherry, because Sherry is my co-host, my co-mod on my Build a Better Business. And she has a great mind for it. She's been in the trenches with me for a couple of years, putting together our platforms. And so she understands, my philosophies and my concepts, and she's actually implementing it in her business, and I'm implementing it in mine. And so now she has a couple of courses, but hers were always very technical. And just to give you an idea of where we're going with this, is all my stuff is very inspirational.
Yeah.
I'm hitting the area where I say, you can do this, and here are some steps to help you do it. 6 steps to help you get your platform launched, or 6 steps to get published, or 6 steps to tell your story, or whatever. And hers was so technical because she wrote a book about dysgraphia, and she works with teachers and students and parents that have children with dysgraphia. And so that is so specialized that I'm like, that doesn't really fit into my academy. But as she's evolving, what I'm seeing in her now is she wants to create a program on how to help students become leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm like, okay, now see, she's more in an inspirational type message on, we can help, your children, the teachers, the parents, or even the students that are interested in tapping in the 6 steps to becoming a good leader. And so now, see, that's right up my alley on something that then she could put over on my platform. So that's just an example, but I think that's where I'm headed with it.
Nice. Interesting. I've never heard of, what is it? Dysgraphia, you said?
Dysgraphia. It's a cousin to
Dyslexia?
Dyslexia. Yeah.
Okay. I think I've heard of it. I wasn't sure. I was like, it's interesting.
Yeah. So she was diagnosed with dysgraphia as a child herself, and she's always struggled. And so, and dysgraphia is having a problem writing. You can communicate verbally, but it's the written word, which is why it all has to go with that hand-eye coordination thing. And to think that she's a published author after having been diagnosed with dysgraphia, and now we're all driving over to Miami to hear her speak, is that now she is a speaker, and this is her 2nd book that she's publishing. So So we're excited for her. Yeah.
I love the title too. It's Becoming You, right?
Becoming You. Mhm.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think
Mhm.
that's a beautiful title. I love things like that. I like love I'm reading a book right now that's really good. But yeah, I really love that. Um I don't know what I was gonna say. um yeah, it's so that's gonna be a part of the academy, you said, or it's not going to be, or you I was just
As she evolves her leadership program, I'd like her leadership program to become part of the academy.
okay. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's where she's headed, is developing this whole leadership program.
I think that's great. Yeah, I think it's always good to be like a leader type person. I'm not saying everybody's like that and everybody's like geared towards that. But I think everybody some way is to be a leader. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm a leader because I want to be an influencer, just like
Well, and again, it's at all different levels. I mean, it means different things to different folks, and I think that's the key. That's the aha in being a leader, is that it means different things for different folks.
yeah, it does. And that's really cool. I love how everybody, just in life just has a different thing that they're going towards, but it's all going towards the same thing, like love and goodness and peace. It's all going towards
Yes.
this thing that we're all striving for, essentially. And I think that's really cool. It's all connected in a way.
And that's why when we travel, we run into folks all around the world. And then again, and Carmella knows this, I run a bed and breakfast in my home when I'm in Canal Winchester, Ohio. We have a bed and breakfast actually in our house. And we have folks from around the world that sit in my living room, and we have conversations, and we're more alike than we are different. Everybody wants the same things. They want to be happy. They want to be financially sound. And they want their kids to be happy. And that's what everybody wants.
Yeah.
Cheyenne, welcome. I see that you've just joined us. Oh, and then she's just jumped off. I was going to promote her up here if she wanted to join us. But we're already past the 11 o'clock hour.
Yeah. Did she stay as an attendee, or did she just hop up in general?
She just popped in as an attendee, and when I said welcome, I started to click on her to invite her up, and she disappeared. So it could be
named Rachel that came here, but then she dropped off.
And she dropped off too. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. When I'm looking right now, it's just the three of us. There's nobody in the attendee side.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So sometimes they're just checking in.
Yeah.
And at 10 o'clock on a Friday, it could be that they're at work and the boss walked in, Who knows?
Well, I
So
hope
thank
you have
you
a
guys.
wonderful weekend. I
Yeah.
have
So
a nice drive there and everything. So I guess will I see you in June? Actuality?
maybe, what was the date again?
I don't know, because I think I didn't know if you were coming for Caden's 16th birthday.
I was going to try, but I don't remember the date. I think I've got it on my calendar. It depends on whether I have guests at my house or not. Yeah, I was looking at it seems like it was a Friday night. I was looking at my date.
It was a Friday night. Yeah, I think it's the 16th.
16th. Yeah, June 16th. Yes. It's on my calendar, but it depends on how busy we are at the B&B that weekend. If I've got a house full of people, it's hard for me to be that far away. So I'll have to see kind of how the guest list goes, but it's on my calendar.
I'm gonna have to come. I told Farley, I'm like, we're just gonna have to book at the B&B to see, because he's like, how's Aunt Kathy? And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, and when you're in Columbus, give me a shout.
I will.
Yeah, because I'm not that far away. Sarah, where are you located?
The Woodlands, Texas.
Okay, she's in Texas.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, hey, you never know. Maybe we'll come to see you in Texas someday.
I know I may be booking a flight to Texas because my adoptive grandchild, her and her mom, they're from Texas. And I
Mhm.
think she was homesick because her whole family, they're Latino, but they've never left Texas. She's the only one in her family that left the state of Texas. So her daughter turns 1 in July.
Aw.
She just flew out yesterday and she's supposed to be gone most of the summer. I'm like, what am I going to do without my baby? Granted,
Uh,
it's not my baby, but I'm like, she goes, we will FaceTime you. So usually she'll send me pictures and everything. So I said, you may find me on a flight to Texas. I don't know how close you are to Dallas because she's in Dallas.
4 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, it's cool. I love babies. I think they're so precious. I don't have any kids of my own, but I still love kids.
Mine are all too big now. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. Well, my big aha moment for the day is to just keep following your dream. Just go for it. Yeah. Carmella, what about you? Any ahas?
My I can't even talk. Look, I'm like tongue tied. My aha moment for today and this weekend is to be you, be who you are. And that's me, where I'm not trying to do things to make other people happy, but it's like what makes you happy. Those things, I mean, even if it's, a certain movie or whatever, it's like whatever makes you happy, go for it.
Yep, I agree. Sarah, how about you? Any aha moments today?
Well, ditto to what Carmella said, and also ditto to what you said too. But also say my own words. It's just like, I think just keep, for me, just to keep believing in myself. That's what I was gonna say. Not keep
Yeah.
following my dreams because that's what you said, but believing in myself that I can do more than what other people thought I could do, and I think that's, and also being happy where I am right now, and because I don't have this busy, crazy life yet. It's okay if I don't have that yet, and I'm still living this peaceful kind of life, and I like
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Enjoy it while you can.
yeah. But I will still love being a music artist. I'll still love it. I love talking about personal things. That's my favorite job in the world, is being a music artist, because you can talk about whatever you want. I love it.
Well, thank you for being with us. Sarah, thank you so much for tapping in today. I love that you're here. And Carmella, as usual, thank you for being here. I love everything about what you're doing. So kudos to you. And we will see everyone next time. So mark your calendars. And Sarah, if you want to, oh, she jumped off. I was going to say if she wanted to tap into some of the other free stuff, like the whole writing stuff, I have some other free channels for her. So I'll have to send her a note. But anyway, thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.
Okay, have a good weekend.
Okay, bye.